In December 2011, my mom filed for divorce from my stepdad. At this time, we were all unaware of the difficult times ahead regarding the custody of my youngest sister. The Children's Equal and Shared Parenting Act was recently passed in April of 2012. The Act requires, in almost all cases of any parent fighting for 50-50 custody, that at the minimum, they will be awarded 45.1% of parenting time. The Children's Equal and Shared Parenting Act is harmful to the children involved and does not take the child's best interest close enough into consideration. My 3 points I will be touching on is that the child is caused harm when they are forced into uncomfortable situations, parents with history of domestic violence should not be awarded custody, and mental and physical disability and addiction scans should be mandatory along with the bill. Now, the child is caused harm by being forced into uncomfortable situations. In this case, stated by Michael Dittberner from Minnesota State Representatives, that with this bill, the parent fighting for 50-50 custody is given a higher priority than what is in the best interest for the child. In this situation, the child may be forced into an uncomfortable situation with a parent who they are not necessarily comfortable with being around. The best interest of the child states that the child should be able to be in an intimate situation with each parent. This also states that each child should be comfortable with their home, their school, and their community. If they are not comfortable with being in this situation, their stress and anxiety levels will rise, causing harm to themselves and harm that can follow them throughout the rest of their lives. My second point is that parents with a history of domestic violence should not be awarded custody. Children exposed to domestic violence exhibit more externalizing behaviors and internalizing behaviors and cognitive or academic deficiencies. This was found by Patrick Thornton from the Minnesota Lawyers Association. They exhibit behaviors such as depression, suicide, anxiety, fears, phobias, sleep apnea, anything cognitive or academic that can fall into it, being that if it's academically struggling or socially struggling in school, any type of thing that can fall into that category, the child can struggle from it due to the fact that the domestic violence is happening in their house and they're around that parent. Now, with the domestic violence, the fact is that they don't even need to know, they don't even need to see that the domestic violence is there. Just knowing the presence of it, that is happening between the parents, causes enough stress on the child that things such as depression and suicide can be uprisen in the child, causing serious harm to the child's well-being. Now, my third point is that mental and disability scans should be required in order for this bill to be put in place. With this bill, it is overlooked in the child's best interest of parents with disabilities or addictions to be able to take care of their child. Now, in most cases, with a disability that is severe enough, the child should not be put with that parent. The parent can't always take care of the child, or take care of themselves. So if they can't take care of themselves, how are they supposed to be taking care of the child? And in this case, the child will be stuck with trying to take care of themselves in a way that they might not be able to due to their age level. So to review my points, this act should not be in legislation. It causes harm to the child when they're forced in uncomfortable situations, rising stress and anxiety. Domestic violence, having a presence of domestic violence, causes things such as depression and suicide that is not something that can be turned around or taken away from a child. And parents may be placed with, children may be placed with parents with disabilities and addictions that are strong enough to the point where they aren't even capable of taking care of the child themselves. Now, in my situation, my youngest sister was placed in an uncomfortable situation with her father when we fell victim to this act. At this time, my little sister has been put into counseling in order to deal with the stress and anxiety that has arisen in her because she was forced into the situation where she was not intimately comfortable with being with her father. Because of this, she has gone from a happy little child to someone who is full of worry and hatred 24/7. And that is not something that this act should cause. If there's going to be child custody battles, it should be in the best interest of the child at all times. The Children's Equal and Shared Parenting Act should be removed from legislation completely, and the best interest of the child should be followed and decide where the child is placed. The Family Law Section of the Minnesota State Bar Association testified against this proposal in April, and they are prepared to fight against it in the fall when it is voted on again on whether or not this act should be in legislation.